The U.S. company is now considered the worst big automaker to deal with, according to a new survey of top suppliers to the car industry in the United States. And the annual survey, conducted by the automotive consultant group Planning Perspectives Inc., asks the industry's biggest suppliers to rate their relationships with the 6 automakers that account for more than 85% of all light vehicle sales in the United States. And those so-called Tier 1 suppliers say GM is now their least favorite big customer according to the rankings, less popular even than Chrysler, the unit of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, FIA.MI, which since 2008 had consistently earned that dubious distinction. And suppliers gave GM low marks on all kinds of key measures, including its overall trustworthiness, its communication skills, and its protection of intellectual property. And the suppliers also said that GM was the automaker least likely to allow them to raise prices to recoup unexpected material cost increases. And as a result, GM is now the least preferred customer of suppliers, P says. And Nissan Motor Co. Limited, 7,201. T overtook Ford Motor Co. F.N. for third place in P's Supplier Working Relations Index, pushing Dearborn-based Ford into fourth place. Toyota Motor Co. 7,203. T and Honda Motor Co. Limited, 7,267. T finished in the no. 1 and no. 2 spots, respectively. NP, which has been conducting the survey for 14 years, says supplier perceptions of automakers are critical because they can determine which car makers see the supplier's newest technologies first, get their best pricing and work with their best engineers. And John Hank, the head of B and a research fellow at Center for Supply Chain Management at Rutgers University, said a Japanese sweep of the top 3 places suggested the industry could be entering an era in supplier relations that doesn't bode well for the U.S. Big Three. And the reason, the Japanese automakers are not just benefiting from a deterioration in relations between suppliers and the Big Three, they are actually rising in the estimation of their suppliers. And Toyota and Nissan, in particular, saw the percentage of suppliers who characterize their relationship with the two automakers as good or very good surge. And GM, meanwhile, is in an especially unenviable spot, with 55% of the suppliers surveyed characterizing their relations with the automaker as poor to very poor, up from 48% last year. And one bit of good news for Grams when the list of car makers was expanded to include the 3 German auto companies, which have a far less significant market share in the U.S. Suppliers said Daimler AG's Dane.de, Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen AG, VW_P.de, were even harder to deal with. And but because BMW, BMWG.de, ranked second in the expanded list, just below Toyota but ahead of Honda, GM's overall position fell to 7th place in the supplier's best-worst rankings. And, reporting by James B. Kelleher in Detroit, editing by Margarita Choi, and GM in number 8217's ignition switch debacle is the best advertisement for Toyota Motors. And it in number 8217's free on top of that. And it all comes down to country and corporate culture. No surprise American auto companies suck and Japanese ones apparently do not. Having lived in Japan for some time now, I'm number 8230, they run circles around us when it comes to work ethic and cultural norms that bind a society vice divided. And number 8230. America is akin to the Titanic, just much bigger, so takes longer to sink. And back to top. And Thomson Reuters is the world's largest international multimedia news agency, providing investing news, world news, business news, technology news, headline news, small business news, news alerts, personal finance, stock market, and mutual funds information available on Reuters.com, video, mobile, and interactive television platforms. Thomson Reuters journalists are subject to an editorial handbook which requires fair presentation and disclosure of relevant interests. And NYSE and Amex quotes delayed by at least 20 minutes. NASDAQ delayed by at least 15 minutes. For a complete list of exchanges and delays, please click here.